Good evening. Welcome to the Outside the Game. My special guest this evening is no other than Mitch Credle. Mitch Credle has been a pillar in the community for a very long time as far as mentoring youth and doing things in the community, coaching basketball and things if you have you. Mitch worked for the police department, Metropolitan Police Department for 29 years. There he also was a homicide detective, and he also worked for sexual assault unit. He's written books. He lectures high schools and colleges in the area about crime and justice. And he's also a certified film producer at DCTV. He has documentaries, and he also appeared on shows like CNN, the Connie Chung show. There's numerous things that we're gonna get into. First, I just want to thank you so much, Mitch, for joining me on my podcast, man. It means a lot to me. And I also want to thank you, man, because I don't know if you know it or not, but you were the first guy to ever give me a chance at coaching, man. You know, I always wanted to do it, and I know you probably never didn't know that, but me and Rob talked about that, and you gave me the opportunity, man. And the game of basketball and people like you in my life has done so much for me. So I personally want to thank you for giving me that opportunity when I was so young. I was 21, I was 23 then, Mitch. So I want to thank you for that, man. And just kudos to you for everything that you have done. We're going to get in a little more in depth into it, but kudos to you, man, for what you've been doing in the community and just for people like myself for so long. So just thank you for joining me, man.
I most definitely appreciate it, man. Most definitely appreciate you for having me on here. Also, I couldn't go before Rob. Rob is the coach now, so I can't go before him. I had to come after him.
Hey, when we talked, man, he said, man, the first thing he said, you got to get Mitch on here because we talked about that team we're gonna get into at that coaching staff at Emmy, Washington, man.
Oh wow,
that was hey Mitch, when we talk about that's a legendary coaching staff when we talk about and we break it down and see what them guys went on to do. And once again, that just comes from the opportunities that you provided for us, man. So we appreciate that. So we're gonna start off by let's talk about something about a little bit about Mitch Credle that they don't know. You love sports. You played sports back in the day. What brought you to sports? What about you attracted you to the game?
I mean, just growing up in Southeast up in Butler Gardens, we lived in a apartment complex, and it was at 16th and Butler Street Northwest, which is right off Moore's Road. Mm-hmm. And the closest Boys and Girls Club to us at the time was number 11 Boys and Girls Club, and that was so far up Martin Luther King Avenue. In order to get there, you had to go through a few neighborhoods. You had to go through Barry Farms, Butler Gardens, even though it wasn't a beef, but you know, we just didn't go through Barry Farms, and Barry Farms didn't come through Butler Gardens. So we just used to stay in our own little complex and just play throw up tackle, play touch, play tackle over at Frederick Douglass home on that field we used to have over there. So we stayed in our element, but I didn't play organized football until I got up Northwest when I was 12 years old. That's when I started playing for number 10 Boys and Girls Club.
Okay. So in 1982, about you start mentoring and coaching and all that stuff. What about that? What about mentoring and coaching and helping people that brought you to want to do that?
Well, I put it like this. It wasn't something that I just like selected to do. A lot of people don't know how I got into it. So I'm gonna give you the skinny on that. What happened was my senior year at Cardozo, I was 17 years old, and I was going to play in the back then. Well, I think they still have it, the high school all-star game. Real big event over RFK Stadium, and the coach at the time was Jarrell up at a Coolidge. He was the head coach of the West All-Star. And one day I was running late for practice, and I jumped on a moped that, you know, it did belong to myself, and I wanted to hurry up and get to practice. I had a little young girl in the back, so the police stopped me. And, you know, they ran the information through, and, you know, it was stolen. And that messed me up. I was late for practice. Well, matter of fact, I didn't even make it to practice. I got arrested.
Right.
And and that right there just changed everything for me. I was 17, going on 18. I got arrested. I couldn't play in an all-star game. I was ordered by the judge to do community service. So by the time I turned 18, I had to do 500 hours of community service. So I went up to Raymond Rec, which is across the street from where I lived at. When I went to Raymond and told Miss Williams that I had to start doing some community service, she asked me, do I want to coach the rec team?
Wow.
So I started coaching the rec team, man. Oh my God.
Wow.
And I started going up against, I was going up against guys like the legendary Doc Robertson, legendary coach in the city, Fluffy Parker, legendary coach in the city, and so a few other guys. I was a young cat on 18 years old, but you know, I knew nothing about coaching, and I just started winning, you know. And by me being a freshman at UDC, Doc then had turned. Doc soon was he was assistant basketball coach up at UDC also. So I used to sit behind the bench with him and Will Jones. Every game I sit behind their bench, man, and just listen. Here, I'm 18, 19 years old, just listening to how they coach, how they relate to the players. So I basically adopted their style, man. After that, I started just dominating rec league, man. I won the championship like 2 years straight. I had Michael Smith, who ended up playing for the Wizards later on. And I had a monster squad, man. After that, I just started turning into that recruiter and just started going to all the bad neighborhoods, getting the bad kids to play for me. Because those were the kids who I knew were aggressive. Here it is, I'm on 18, 19 years old. These kids 11, 12 years old. So I was in these hoods getting the gorillas, man. And we were dominating, beating everybody. We had no height. But man, my kids were so strong and just, you know, so tough, man. We could beat anybody in the city. And that's how I got into coaching. It was by default. And you know, God lead us to different ways, things in ways. And it took me to get locked up in order for him to steer me into coaching, because I didn't have an interest in the coaching before then.
Yeah, and immediately when you said that, it led me to think about that and how God does things in mysterious ways, and he leads us down these paths, and we never expected that we would be here in these moments and having in these situations and being able to do the things you do. So I definitely understand, and that was the first thing that came to my mind to think about that. So let's talk about, so I didn't know until Rob told me, but I heard you coached at Cardozo before you went to Emmy Washington.
Yeah, Cardozo was my jump, man. Oh my God. And my dream, you know, for years I was always coaching the number 10 Boys and Girls Club. And my dream was always to be the head coach at Cardozo. And Lindsay wasn't going away. He's a pillar in the community, he's gonna be there forever. So my old English teacher, Fraser O'Leary, who was always a teacher, he was always the coach of the girls team and also the English teacher. He asked me one day would I mind coaching the girls basketball team. And I said, dude, I don't coach girls. I can't do the girls. So he gave me a team. I had two talented players, Layla and Shaitan. And Shaitan was a hothead. Layla was a ball player. Matter of fact, Layla ended up going to college on a basketball scholarship. She done real well. But we were like 1-20, you know, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I could do this. And it was pretty tough. And what happened was, before I took on that girls team, let me back up. I was coaching the boys JV. I forgot that part. Okay. I was coaching the boys JV. I coached the boys JV for 2 years, and we were competitive. And what happened was, when O'Leary asked me to coach the girls team, that's when I brought Rob in. I got Rob from the Boys and Girls Club. Say, Rob, look, I'm going to coach the girls team. But you come and take care of this JV for me.
Yep, that's exactly what he told me.
Yeah, so Rob, I forgot about that part. I forgot to coach JV. So Rob took over the JV while I took over the girls, and he had much more success than me. But I did the girls for 1 year, and then someone had contacted me and asked me, you know, did I want to like leave Cardozo? But I was like, no, I want to stay here at Cardozo, because whenever Lindsay leave, I want to coach the boys.
Right.
But I talked to Lindsay, and Lindsay said he wasn't going anywhere. So, you know, I'm like, wow. So what I did was I went down to Martha, Washington. I talked to the principal down and met Miss Page.
Miss Page, I remember Miss Page.
Yeah, I met Miss Page, and I told her, I introduced myself, told her who I was. I looked at it, saw they had a gymnasium. It was only a few boys in the school. I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna pull this off? So, you know, I said, you want to build a basketball program? And she was like, sure, but how are we going to do that? They didn't even have uniforms.
Correct. And you know, I was telling Rob that one of the amazing things about what you did is, because let's keep it real, that school was known for, getting stuff outside of, getting your stuff like electrician and nurse and nursing and doing. It was never known for sports, at all. So that was one of the impressive things about what you built over there. And on that staff, Mitch, you had Rob, Von Jones, and Brian Hill.
And also had Damon Roberts. He ended up coaching over Spingarn. Yeah.
Listen, that staff, man, was excellent. And I was so young at the time, man. Yeah. I soaked up so much knowledge. I told Rob from just being around y'all. I told Robin that, they always kept in contact with me, will always help me out when I was coaching at Wilson, even when we was competing against each other. It was all love, and we would talk, and they would always mentor me and tell me things and tell me how to maneuver through certain things I was going through. But that staff, man, that staff you had was
tough,
good.
Man. It was tough. And I'm gonna tell you, and my belief was always when you're a head coach, you should want your staff to be equal to or better than you. Mm-hmm. So I most definitely wanted some high level skilled guys. Here it is, Brian and Von that played at the highest level of college basketball that there can be. And Von used to play for me as a young kid. So, I most definitely and I knew Rob was just a gamer.
Yeah.
Rob was
tough,
a gamer.
Man.
And I told Rob and when I got that job, I told Rob, look, man, just come with me. Mm-hmm. I know you doing good at Cardozo, but come with me. I'm not gonna be at MM long because I was still a homicide detective. But I had so much, so much respect for Miss Page, and she had so much respect for me. I told her, I'm gonna bring some athletes, bring some good coaches. We're gonna change this program around. But I told her I'm not gonna be here forever because I knew my job at some point was going to interfere with what I was doing by being a homicide detective. But what I did was the first player I recruited was Deontay Teller. And it was funny. It was funny. It was funny when I went to recruit him. I didn't know that I knew his grandmother. Wow. I didn't know that I knew his family. I had no idea. Yeah. I had no idea. So I called his grandma. I'm like, hey, this Mitch, Mitch Credle. She's like, oh, Mitch. I know family. Oh my God, all my life. So I said, I said, I'm trying to get in contact with your grandson. I seen your grandson play. He is a monster. He introduced me to his mama.
Tape was nice.
So she introduced to his mama, and I introduced her, to myself, and I basically told her that, I was honest with any parent. I say, look, I know your son got a lot of talent, but for me, it ain't about what he can do with the basketball. When that air is out the basketball, what is he gonna do?
Yes.
And I know he lives in some challenging times. 2-3 o'clock in the morning, if you can't find your son, who you gonna call? I'm more than just a basketball coach. I'm there. I'm like your son's uncle, big brother. I could be his father. I could be anything you need me to be. Just trust me with him as a mentor. All his basketball talent take care of itself.
Correct.
So I went to one of his games, and at the game was Dunbar coach Lampkins was there recruiting him. I think Doc Roberts was sitting in the stand. Was Doc sitting in the stand? I don't know who it was, but it was like several high school named coaches sitting in the stands. And I'm sitting there like, I'm not even in the damn school yet. I'm like, and he put on, and Tay put on a show. He had Elliott, him and Josh Morgan was on the same team, played with the Redskins. And man, they ended up putting on a show. Man, Tay is dunking on people, hanging on rims. I'm sitting there like, this motherfucker about 6'4", just dominating.
Long arms too.
So when the game, long arms, and could jump. So when the game was over, all the coaches wanted to speak to him, and he walked up to me, got my car, and we rode out and we left. And I said, I got him. He's mine.
Got him. Yeah.
He's mine. That was it.
One player on that team, man, rest in peace, man, was one of the most special talents I ever laid eyes on at 15. That was Royale Walker, man. Royale Walker, man. He was only 15 years old on that team. And Royale, and so me, Rob, and Brian, we all had conversation now, and it was like, he was tough. He wasn't scared of the moment. He would shoot the ball, and he was a baby out of everybody. You
I
know,
remember one JV game, Royale gave somebody 50 something.
yeah,
I was like, whoa. I
yeah.
mean, woo.
Look, Royale
Man,
was shooting from the hash like Steph, and we was
yeah,
pulling our hair out at that
yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah, Royale was tough. He was younger than Tay, and he about maybe a year or two younger. But he was tough. Whenever they practiced with us, he held his own. Very talented, long, could shoot. Just plenty of confidence. He didn't care where he shot it from. Wasn't
Nope.
scared of anybody.
Nope.
He was just a tough kid, man. I really enjoyed coaching him. He had his little issues that sometimes when he thought he was uncoachable, but
Yeah.
that's the kind of players we love. Because if you're
Yeah.
tough, you're gonna give us 1,000%.
At all times.
There might be some things that's distracting you or some things that's going on, but we know in that court you're gonna give us 1,000%, and then afterwards we're gonna work on what the other problems are.
And I discussed that with Rob, man. That's one of the things that made you great, and that makes people great when they're great coaches, because it's more than just X's and O's. Anybody can learn to draw up a play or something like that, but being something else to these kids, man, because we came from where they come from, so we understand the struggles, and being a mentor to one, man, is great, man. You can't save all of them, but you save the ones that you can. And it's just a blessing to, I had worked in the school system for 10 years, and just, the kids and the relationships that you build throughout the years, and you see them now grown, and some of the ones you thought was wild, they good individuals. They working.
Grown men.
They grown men and women. Yep, good citizens.
They're grown men, they're family men.
Yep.
And it's just amazing. It's just like at this, I work at a middle school right now, and one day this kid was acting up at school. He was 7th grade at the time, and I deal with behavior. So brought him into my office, dealt with him, talked to him, tried to get him to calm down. Then his mom said his father was going to come. I never met his father. Said his father was going to come. So I'm like, good. Finally get a chance to meet his father. His father walks in the door. I'm looking at his father. His father was one of my JV players at Cardozo. I said, no wonder he act just like you. Act just like you. So it was just a big laugh.
Yeah.
But just when the kid realized I knew his father, and he saw the respect that me and his father had, that changed the whole
dynamic of things. Yeah.
And the kid ended up being a good student, respectful. Men became real close, graduating. So all of it just changed, man. So you never know how things come in full circle, man. And what we once did years ago, a lot of stuff can still apply today, man, of how we treat young people back then. We treat them the same today. A lot of them just want respect, man.
Yep. And one of the things I know that you had was a lot of trust within the community and things. And so let's talk about you was a Metropolitan Police officer. You joined the force in 1986, correct? Yes. At that time, Mitch, I don't know if a lot of people know what was going on in Washington, D.C., but I can be the first to admit I was growing up, and Rayful Edmond was king of the city at that time, Mitch. So, it was just a lot going on, bodies everywhere. What inspired you at that point in time, with all that going on, out of all the things you could have done, what made you say, I want to be a Metropolitan Police officer?
Well, what happened was in 1986, I was young. I was 20. At the time, I think I was 21, 22 years old, and I had a 4-year-old daughter. And she needed so much. I need to, I was working part-time and going to UDC. So, I wasn't bringing in much money to help take care of her. And, it was a struggle. I love my daughter. I used to be with her like every day. And I wanted to help her mother as much as I could. So I saw an ad in the newspaper for a police officer, and I didn't want to do it at first because I'm like, nah, I can't do this stuff, man. But I filled out the application, and the person who ended up being my recruiter was my coach at the Boys and Girls Club when I was a kid, Officer Borden. Wow. And he said, you can do this. And I'm like, I don't know. But, I stuck in there, and I, went through the process, took the test, passed it, showed up at the academy months later, scared to death, nervous. I saw a whole bunch of guys in there who were military, background, and I just felt uncomfortable. But I hung in there. I'm glad I hung in there. I wanted to quit a few times, but I'm glad I stuck it in there, and it turned out to be a hell of a career, man. Because what I did was I took that position and I became the police officer that the community needed, opposed to the police officer the job wanted me to be, and that's what made me successful in the job.
Yeah. And so much more that is needed. I remember growing up, man, and the police officers, you know, you trusted them. They were at your school, they gave you cards and stuff. So we're gonna get into that a little bit more later about things that we kind of need to do to repair our relationship with the police department, because it's definitely needed. And it's not just one-sided, you know, it's about us too. We got to do some things, you know, also too. And I know that you're working with kids on that, so we're gonna touch on that. But in 1991 now, you moved to be a homicide detective. Now, Mitch, in 1991, I know you remember, we was like the murder capital, 482 murders. I remember shows like City Under Siege, when they used to, you know, sit on the blocks and stuff and stuff like that. And it was just so much going on in the city. Talk about a little bit about what you saw and what was going on in our community at that time, because, you know, 482 murders in a city this small is a lot. And, you know, sometimes, and I think about now, sometimes we complain about the murders that we have now, and I look at the statistics, man, they ain't nothing from what we went through during that time, when you're talking about almost 500 murders. So just touch about a little bit what you saw going on in our communities and the things you saw going on at that time.
Well, back then, a lot of things were predictable. The drug trade in DC was very heavy, just like many other major urban cities, New York, Philly, Detroit, places like that. And the thing about it is, it's just that with that came a lot of violence, and the violence wasn't going anywhere, and everyone was carrying weapons, and people were going after their targets in an aggressive manner. You know, they wasn't standing on the corner shooting down in the block. They walking up to who they want and killing that person in front of everybody with no problem. Or they snatching them up, kidnapping them, taking them down the park.
Yes, sir.
Snatching them up, robbing them. They just had a different way of the way they were doing things. And a lot of it came from just a bunch of young men in DC who saw the opportunity to first make money through crack, and then with all of that just came a bunch of violence that created the turf wars, the neighborhood beefs, the you know, who's gonna be this man, who's gonna be that man. It was really it was structures within certain crews, but overall in the city it wasn't structured, because it's whoever, whatever, as far as who, you know, who's the man. Because I mean, Rayful had his run with what he was doing, but after Rayful, it was a lot of guys who were just getting it. You know, a lot of guys were just getting it, and then these crews, R Street, Newton Street.
And I grew up down Southwest where Wayne Perry grew up at.
The guys down Southwest, the guys over Robertson. So just certain crews, man, just started developing. Guys over on the other side of Lincoln Heights, and I mean, 21st Street, Trinidad. I mean, just neighborhoods just became so violent. It was just hard for anyone to survive. And all the guys who survived those you know, those days, that era, man, whew, they'll tell you, man, because DC was just, I mean, every damn day we standing over top of bodies, and a lot of the bodies were people I knew. You know, and a lot of the people who were doing the murders were people I knew. So it was just sad, man. Just the whole situation was sad, that a lot of young people got caught up into that drug game, that violent game. And today, many of them who survived it, many of them who've done their time and then who's on the streets, many of them who never got charged, many of them who never got locked up. But a lot of the guys, regardless of what your situation was back then, a lot of them realize today, as they're older and much more mature, that, you know, if they had the knowledge and just have just something more resource, or just something, they could have done better. You know, they could have done better, because they're good guys. They are good guys. A lot of them are now doing things in the communities that a lot of guys who never even done crime. You know, so I commend them for changing their lives. And it's just that during that era, man, it was just so hard to live in DC.
Yeah, and so many factors that go into what's going on with kids' minds at that time. You don't know what's going on in the household, if it's a father figure.
Exactly.
And I know just growing up and becoming the man that I am today, it's difficult when you got to learn. And a lot of them learn, and I don't think they wake up and be like, I want to go be a bad person. It's something that just kind of happens. You know, you live in the hood and you see it growing up and you kind of idolize it and you see it. So it's a lot there's a lot that goes on into it. In 2015, you retired. You was with the sexual assault division and you retired. Now, a lot about what I wanted to talk about too was we was talking about building relationships. So one of the things that you did, you built relationships inside of the community while being a police officer. And you know, and sometimes one of the many stereotypes I think that we kind of got to get out of our community is like police officers are bad. All of them are bad. There's bad people in every field that you can name, you know. So I know a lot with social media and stuff, all the bad stuff is publicized, but it's people like yourself in the community who work, and they are good cops. And I can remember cops that were there when I was working in the school system that I see to this day, that I still remember, that were generally good people. So what needs to happen so we can try to mend some of these fences in our community and with the police, so that we can just try to come together, you know, in some medium, you know. And you know, so many times we always say it's the police, but I feel like, you know, I like to have uncomfortable conversations. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but sometimes we gotta change a little bit how we operate and do things too. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about a little bit, because you've been on both sides. You know, you were a cop, now you're not. Talk about what needs to happen so we can try to mend these fences and come together and just make this thing work.
I think today, moving forward, I think it is about building relationships, and relationships are major. There's a lot of different ways you can build relationships. You only have to be from DC in order to build a relationship. I used to have a lot of white partners who weren't from DC, but they knew the community. They knew the importance of people in that community. They you know, they knew what people needs were. They knew the families, and that's what it's all about. It's just about building relationship. Like right now, today, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. End of my career in 2015, I don't know why they put me on a foot beat. I've been a detective all my damn career. I think I pissed somebody off. But I was on one weekend they put me in, it was some detail. They put me on a foot beat in Clay Terrace. And I ain't been in Clay Terrace in years from a murder scene. I haven't been in years. But they put me in Clay Terrace in uniform by myself, and I ain't even have a damn police car.
Wow.
From 6 p.m. to like 2 a.m., something like that, whatever it was. But the point I'm trying to make is I'm like, who in the hell did I piss off, man?
Right.
So when I get around there, I'm the only dude out there. You know, I'm short, I'm only 5'6". I'm like, oh shit, I'm looking around. People, man, people everywhere. I don't have no partner. I don't have anything, but I'm not gonna complain. I said, I'm gonna make this work for me. So what I did was, the first thing I did was I saw the ice cream truck pull up. I went to one of the mothers. I said, look, do me a favor. This ice cream truck, I want you to come with me. Order every kid in the block ice cream. I don't care, just order ice cream. So I go to the ice cream truck, man. I say, look, Slim, I'm gonna get all the kids ice cream. Don't hurt my pockets. So all the kids came up. The moms ordered everybody ice cream. I give her the money. She gets to the ice cream man. But I wanted everybody to see that. All the boys on the block, they saw that. So we did that. Kids have ice cream, having fun. So I saw a couple of dudes, they, you know, look at me, nod their head and everything. I just waved at them. They was over there drinking their little cups. They're probably drinking liquor. Whatever they doing, they weren't shooting nobody. You know, so whatever they were over there doing, they doing it. They weren't smoking weed in my face. Whatever they were there doing, they doing. They ain't bothering me. I ain't bothering them. So as the night went on, I started just going around talking to some of the elderly people in the community, getting to know them. So then I just eased my way over to the guys on the block. So they're over there talking about basketball. I'm over there acting like I don't have no knowledge of basketball. I got them dudes thinking they the smartest things in the world when it comes to basketball. Because, you know, I know a little bit about basketball.
Yes, you
So,
do.
you know, so I'm letting them get the edge on me and everything. But they were respectful and everything. So the night ended real peacefully. And I went back to my sergeant. I gave him a activity sheet. On my activity sheet, it was that I bought 40 pieces of ice cream. And he looked at me like, what the hell is this? I said, that's what I did. I bought the kids ice cream. And I
Right.
asked him, I said, how many radio runs did you get for Clay Turris? How many sounds of gunshots you get for Clay Turris? How many fights you get from Clay? Did you get any runs for Clay Turris while I was over there? He said, no. I made my point. So the next night I went back, I did the same thing. Ice cream truck, hooked them up, gave the ice cream truck driver a tip for doing the same thing again. Mingling with the guys, we get to know each other. The same thing for 2 straight nights. So when that night was over, the second night was over, I told one of the older dudes in the block, I said, yeah, man, I'm going back to work on Monday. I won't be back anymore. This is just a detail for me. He said, damn, Slim, man. And like I say, for 2 straight nights, it was no crime, nothing. And he said, man, you the first officer, this 2015 now, he said, you the first officer that just got out the car and just start talking to us, and I was just building simple relationship, just having dialogue with them, just let them see that I'm just as human as they are.
Yes, that's important.
We joking it. I'm not going in nobody's pockets. I'm not doing this. My only rule was don't disrespect me. Don't commit no crimes in my presence. Just simple shit that you think someone will want to do anyway, but
Correct.
just me being in the block.
Mm-hmm.
I built a relationship. Then he said, Slim, you can't come back, man. I said, look, man, I ain't no uniform dude, man.
Right.
This don't even fit. I'm gonna give it nice, So that was it. I felt bad that just listened to them and just the things they were telling me about how the police around there always jumping out on them opposed to having conversations with them.
Yeah. And it's hard, when that's all that happens. There's no level of respect or no communication. There's no nothing. It's just like every time you see me, you gonna jump out on me.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
but see, I'm in the block asking dudes like, what school you go to? What you plan on doing? I want to do this. Oh, well, I can tell you how to do this. I'm giving them feedback on how they can pursue certain things of their interest. What some of them can do with their skill sets. Certain things about job trades. Just conversations that an older brother should be having with younger brothers.
The one thing I noticed by working with kids and stuff, especially kids, they recognize real adults and they know people that care for them. And they got a lot of stuff with them, but they know when you care about them and they know when you're being real with them too. And I know generally when you be real with them, you have a certain level of respect with them because they respect you because they know you being real.
That's it. And this is how real they got. Doing one of the nights, I think it was the second night, one of the dudes said, Slim, you want, you can have one of these bottles if you want. And I said, Slim, if I wasn't working, I'd drink that motherfucker with you.
Correct.
I'm saying, but that's how real they were. That's how real I was, and I wasn't lying.
Correct.
If I wasn't drinking, I would have had a cup with them dudes out there.
Correct.
With no problem. But I was working, and I couldn't drink. But when I told them, they was like, "Damn, Slim," I said, "Man, shit, man, I'll probably be popping the bottles with y'all."
Correct.
I'm just being honest with them, but they respected that. But I told them, I don't want to see no bottles out here while I'm out here. Drink your cups. And my thing is, and then I knew, like when I walk away from them, I knew they were pulling their cup. I knew they were doing it, but they weren't committing no crimes. They were out there just in their neighborhood being and feeling safe.
Yeah.
I was visible in that block in a uniform.
Yeah.
So they were out there being safe, and I knew that I needed them more than they needed me. Something pop off. Now I got some dudes in the block. I mean, they ain't the police, but shit, they might say, "Hey, Slim, look out." Well, I'm just saying, they in the block. I had no help.
Correct.
So they were my help, and that's how I used to police uptown. I always use the community to rock with me because I used to do a lot of things by myself uptown, and once I knew the grandmothers, the mothers, getting to know the guys was real easy. But once I know your grandmother, you got to know me now. There were times when, like say in the block, I'm chasing somebody, I couldn't catch him. I'm like, all right, okay, no problem. I know the game. He got away from me. But he had come into his grandma's house later on, 6:30, 7, 8 o'clock that evening. I'm in grandma's house at the table eating dinner.
Correct.
In uniform. In uniform eating dinner. And he looking like, but I don't tell his grandma what he's doing. But that allowed me to build a relationship with him.
Correct.
don't dog me, don't disrespect me like that anymore.
Correct.
Because now I know your grandma fixing me chicken.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's all about building relationships. And I have those, and a lot of them guys who I've done all them wild, crazy things with back in the day, we all have the utmost respect for each other then and still today.
Yeah, that's great, man. Because we definitely need more police officers like that, man, just to build relationships with the kids and just the community.
Yeah,
and,
that's it. They don't got to eat the chicken, but just build a relationship with people in the block. That's it.
That's it. It would help them too, because you know, it would help both parties. So through all the things you've been doing, we don't talk about coaching and all that. I don't know how you found time to do this, but you wrote books, Mitch. in 2010, you published a book called Stranger in the Streets. You know, so tell me a little bit about that. What brought that about? And you know, did you always like writing?
Yeah, well, I wrote a book before that called and I forgot what year it was. But it's called Homicide: Me, Living Black and Blue, and it's sort of like a biography of my life and how I became a homicide detective. But because it had true details in it, it was nonfiction. The job told me I couldn't publish it while I was on the job. So that's
Okay.
what led me to writing the fiction story, Strange in the Truth and Damaged Roots. Even though they're fictional, but a lot of the things in the books are true events. I just scrambled and put everything together to create the stories to make it fiction. And I changed all the names because I didn't want nobody to feel as I was talking about them. But it was just funny when I wrote that first book, the character Black in that first book, everybody thought I was talking about one of their relatives because he was a combination of a lot of different people.
Correct.
That's why a lot of people thought he was someone they knew. And on purpose, I did it that way because that person Black was in every neighborhood in DC. He was in every community. So that's why a lot of people was able to relate to him.
Yeah. So I know in 2011, you talked about writing Damaged Roots. And also in 2011, you was inducted into the Cardozo Hall of Fame. Congrats on that. That's always a good thing, put in the Hall of Fame. And then also a little bit later in 2015, Eric Holder selected you and your partner to investigate the death of a high school student called Kendrick Johnson that a lot of people may know about. Talk a little bit about what that was about, just in case people don't know. And also, if you are just joining us now, I'm speaking to Mitch Credle, Metropolitan Police Department coach, just pillar in the community. But talk a little bit about that case and what that was about, just in case people don't understand what that was. And that was in Georgia.
Yeah, what it was, the late part of 2014, I was approached by a U.S. attorney that I always work with. And, she asked us, would we be, mind being involved in the investigation? Because Eric Holder requested us and everything. So we were like, cool. We've been doing homicides for years. Ain't no big deal. We didn't know anything about the case, did a little research, and found out this young man in 2013 was found wrapped up in his high school gym in a wrestling match. And it was more at that particular time, more of a civil rights issue, I believe they were looking into. Found out the suspect, who they were looking at, his father was an FBI agent. So because of that, Eric Holder had recused all of the federal agencies to be involved and wanted the outside agency to get involved. So me and my partner, we had a lot of years of homicide experience. So they deputized us and we became part of the investigation. That whole experience was different for me because, I know racism and all those things exist, but here in DC during the era when we was working the streets of DC, we ain't deal with that shit. Racism ain't about us. We just doing our job. But going down there in that community in Valdosta, which is very, very racist city, we had to deal with a whole bunch of things. And we went down there cocky, not arrogant, just cocky, confident, straight DC. I mean, our thing was we done dealt with some of the most notorious killers ever in DC's history.
Correct.
This little shit down here ain't gonna scare us, And I think the people saw that because a lot of people were complaining on us. It was just a hell of an experience, man. And now there's been a documentary just came out this summer called Finding Kendrick Johnson. Jennifer Lewis is one of the producers. got a few other Hollywood names involved in it. I mean, it's just a real good piece. And it was just, for me, not necessarily of who did it, but for me, I was pissed off that the way the family was treated by law enforcement, because I felt as though at the beginning they didn't get a fair shot of what a real investigation should have been. Investigation was investigated like an accident and not as a death or a murder. And you know, they could at least just left it undetermined for years, but they ruled it an accident, and just so many improper things as far as an investigation that went on that should not have went on. And I just feel as though the family didn't get justice, and it has nothing to do with, for me, it had nothing to do with the color of the suspects, had nothing to do with the color of the victim. In any investigation when it comes to death or either homicide, there's certain things that should be done. You do things a certain way to lead you in a certain direction. But if you don't do that, then you're gonna be all over the place, and then you're gonna have nothing. I think that's what ended up in this situation. And I think it was very unfair to that family that they were treated the way they were treated by law enforcement in that jurisdiction. And that's the part that really bothers me, because, you know, I take pride in the profession. I know every homicide case won't close, but you still give families the respect and the hard work that they deserve, man. You don't, their color shouldn't matter. You have a job to do, and it's all you gotta do is just do your damn job.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we all human beings, man, and anybody losing someone is a traumatic experience, man. And you know, you can't get them back, but at least if you can get them some type of closure, man, to let them know at least what happened, or you know, it doesn't make you feel better, but it's just a matter of closure. You know, in respect of the whole matter, you know, that they lost someone. So that's really what it's about. Now in 2016, you had another great accomplishment. You had one of the first films to play at the legendary Howard Theater. What was the name of that film? And talk about that a little bit.
First of all, not one, it was the.
I'm sorry, yes, sir, the first.
Yeah, it was Boss Movie. It was the first movie to ever premiere at the Howard Theater. It's my first independent film. And I didn't have a lot of experience, didn't have no money, but I wanted to put this film together using DC people, and a promoter, Dwayne Nutt, shout out to him. He came and approached me, asked me, could, you know, we do well at the Howard. The Howard thought we only could get about 150 people, because you know, it's like people ain't gonna come to the Howard watch no movie. I said, all right, watch this. We ended up, man, that joint was sold out, 750 people, jam packed. We did a dinner style. It was just an amazing event, man. And the thing about it, that was the fourth viewing. For that to be the fourth viewing and still sell out the Howard Theater, wow. we did two at the Navy Heritage Museum. We did one over the Ark and Southeast. But when we got to the Howard in January of 2016, we, you know, went on Fox 5. They did a little special on it. It was just so amazing because everybody came out dressed up, red carpet. It was just, it was an event that a lot of people didn't. I don't think they believed it was going to be that nice, but it was one hell of an event, man. And just that right there, because it was at the Howard put out a big blast about the movie premiere being the first ever at the Howard Theater. So that's when I started looking at being into the film game a little circuit. Because to be honest with you, I only did that movie just to see if I could do it. I only did the Howard just to see if I can do it. But when I started getting phone calls and messages from people, emails or whatever, I was like, maybe I need to take this film thing a little more serious, because I was having fun.
It's amazing what happens when you put things in the atmosphere and you're a good person. And sometimes I talk about letting everything just take its course, because you never know where things are going to go. So you just kind of let it cultivate itself. You just put it out there if it's something you want to do. And usually if it's something good, it'll take its course on its own. It'll take its course on its own. That's kind of how it works.
It took a life of its own, man. And that's what really propelled me to some of the things I'm doing today.
And so you also got you got two movies on Amazon Prime and Tubi. What are those two movies?
Yeah, Boss 1 and Boss 2 is on Amazon. Boss 1 is on Tubi. A detective story is just me sitting in the chair talking about a couple of cases. That's on Amazon. It's doing real good. It's doing real good on Amazon. And then I have a documentary that I put out last summer during the pandemic, 12 Years in Hell. I just streamed that on YouTube because I wanted people to have an opportunity to see it. I didn't want to charge nobody. I didn't want to make money off it. I just wanted people to see our story. But I did not know that documentary and the YouTube page that I put it on, Cop Stories YouTube page, they was going to propel me to do other things. It was, like I said, it wasn't my intentions. I just did it because I was bored. As far as I created the YouTube page, and it has opened up some serious doors for me, man. I'm still getting phone calls. I just gotta. You saw me check my phone a few minutes ago. That's another producer from the ID channel. So people are contacting me because now they want to put me in front of the camera. When all along I didn't really want to be in front of the camera, but now I'm not gonna turn it down. I'm just gonna do both.
Absolutely. No way you can turn that down. And definitely kudos. I was going to talk about that. And also you did crack, right? Let's see, cocaine, corruption, and conspiracy. And that was also with the Emmy Award winning filmmaker Stanley Nelson, and also NBC Dateline host and full-time Emmy Award winner Dennis Murphy. And you did that with them. And you also had something on the A&E network. They did something about your cases. So you've been working with a lot of these people. What has it been like, Mitch? Because I'm sure when you met me in 2011, you had no idea that these type of things would be going on right now. And I'm sure, like, I started my own company, and just I know for myself, from the little things I've done in my podcast and stuff, seeing your dreams come true and putting them out there. Because I know there was a time that you had a lot of no's and stuff like that. But what has it been like working with all these greats and these people that you have been around? What have the experience been like for you?
It's been very humbling. And what I pray for, when I pray, I say, God, take the wheel. I don't ask for nothing. I don't beg. A lot of people, they might ask for money. I don't ask for anything. All I say is, take the wheel, guide me, lead me, use me to motivate, inspire others, and things like that. I tell him I trust him, I believe him, and whatever direction he want me to go, that's the direction I'm going. And that's what I pray for. I don't pray for punches. I don't pray for nothing materialistic or anything. I don't pray for money. I mean, nothing. So that's all I do. And I let them just lead me. And then the phone calls keep coming in, the emails keep coming in. And it's just been a pleasure. When I met Dennis Murphy, I was like, oh man, I'm like, you Dennis Murphy, man. I'm sitting like,
yeah.
I'm like, you Dennis Murphy, man. and what he said to me was, he said, but you're Mitch Credle. He said, you're real, I'm not. I was like, whoa. He told me all about me. He did a lot of research on me. He said, you're real. I just tell the stories. You were the stories.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And that was real, man. That was pretty cool. And even with the guy who did the Netflix, Stanley Nelson, when I met them, they were just cool. They really wanted to be in it. And I didn't know Rick Ross and all them other people. I didn't know they were really going to be in the story. I had no idea he was in the documentary. But that was real cool. And then to do the Finding Kendrick Johnson documentary, and to be on the phone with Jennifer Lewis, she's like the #1 actress that I've always just admired. She's been in the game for over 40 years, and just to be on the phone with her, and here it is the other day, she's on MSNBC. She's mentioning my name.
Right.
She's doing an interview, a major national televised interview, and she's mentioning Mitch Credle. And I'm sitting like, oh man, that's so cool, And then when I got a call the other day, like I said, the Dateline show will be out this fall. The A&E show, that'll be out, I think, in November. And then after just experiencing those 4 major things, then I get a call from the ID channel who wants to do a story on the Kendrick Johnson as well. But then just talking to her, she said, you know what? I think I want to do a show on you.
Wow.
And I'm like, huh?
Wow.
She's like, you ever thought about having your own series on the ID channel? I said, and I told her like that, I said, you know what? I done been to 4 auditions. I ain't even tripping off none of that stuff no more. I'm good with just making my movies in DC. I'm good with having and I told her, I said, I'm good with my Cop Stories YouTube page. She said, no, Mitch. She said, no. She's a Black woman. She's the first black television producer I met. Everyone else has been white. Not saying, you know, it doesn't matter for me, but she's the first black producer I met. She's happened to be a woman, and she said, "Mitch, no, we're gonna let's explore this." So I mean, just this opportunity, it's just been God sent, man. Even through all this stuff I've been doing, I became real close friends with a guy from this area. I didn't know he from this area. I don't know if you ever heard of the one of the number one comedies that's been off. It's called Schitt's Creek.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Me and the executive producer of that show is like this now. We're real close. We talk all the time. And think about it, even though I know he could do some things for me because he's in Hollywood. He won 9 Emmys last year. I don't even ask him for nothing. And I think that's what developed our bond because we're talking as guys. We're talking, you know, he talking to me about advice that he needs for certain things. I'm talking to him about certain things. So we done built a relationship just on brotherhood and just men stuff. And we don't even talk about the film stuff. And here it is. I can call him right now and say, dude, I need to put me in a movie or help me out, do this, do that. And that's what he respected about me. I don't ask him for nothing.
Yeah, it's genuine. Yeah, it's genuine. And he knows that.
Yeah. And that's what his wife did. His wife is a big time agent. And she said, Mitch, you know, you got, I said, yeah, we like brothers. We just, man, let me tell you something. He's in a position, he could just make my whole world change. But I don't want him for that. And he knows that. I'm like, dude, call me when you need to talk to me as a brother, as a man. Don't call me and ask me about film stuff because our relationship is not built on, even though we met when he saw my documentary, we met on that. He's from Silver Spring. We met on that. His father was a lawyer. So, you know, we met through that, but we built a bond. But that's just how I am. I want to earn mine. And I told him that. I said, dude, you can see me in Hollywood one day. You're not going to get me there. That's what I tell him. I'm going to get there on my own. And when I get there, then I come and stay with you. Then I come and spend time with you. But I don't need you to fly me out there. I don't need you to put me up at one of your houses. No, we ain't doing none of that stuff. Let me earn mine. Let me learn. You went to college for that. You have earned your way. Let me earn my way. Yeah. You know, this is how I was raised. I'm just from that kind of a cloth. I don't want handouts. I want to earn it.
And it's just been magnificent just hearing your story. And for a lot of people like myself who are doing things, you know, it gives you hope to know that if you rock it your way, one of your words, you say, if you rock it your way, believe in that dream and just keep pushing. You never know what doors gonna open up, but you just got to rock it your way. And that's one of the things that I always got from everything you say is just do it your way, because I know throughout that course you had some no's, some naysayers.
A lot of no's, plenty.
And
they inspire me.
And that's what I was gonna get on, because you know, you hear a lot of no's, and everybody does not see your vision. You know, everybody doesn't see it and they don't support it. You know, and it's sad, but sometimes they will support it once they see it blossom. But in the beginning, you know, not people support you, they're around. So if you had to give some advice to people who trying to do filmmaking, podcasts, I don't care what it is, start your own business, what are like 3 important things that you would give them that you learned throughout this process? Because I know it hasn't been easy, but you took the no's and you turned them into yeses. So a couple of things that you would give advice that you would give to people that's trying to pursue some type of dream.
I would say do your research. You most definitely have to educate yourself in what you're trying to do. Once you do that, then you can go to the next step of planning. You must plan. Just don't jump out there without some type of idea of what direction you're trying to go, because just like driving a car, you don't know where you're going. You end up just going in circles. So you have to plan. Then once you plan, one of the major things you have to do is you have to stay focused. And you have to stay focused, man, because so many things can deter us, whether it's a woman, a party, alcohol, drugs, your spouse. I mean, just it's so many things that can just throw us off course, man. And you have to, if it's something you really want to do, you have to really stay focused and stay committed towards that. And then once all that stuff is planted within you, you just come out with that pit bull mentality, man. You going hard. Yeah, there's no turning back. You know, ain't all there's no such thing as failure. You don't fail until you quit. You just going hard, man. All the no's are you tell me no, I'm gonna smile. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm good. I'm good because all your no did was just show me that God is saying that's not the person for you, man. Everybody that told me no, God is like, that's not the person for you. So, and then you just have to believe in it and just keep rocking it, man. And just don't quit. Stay motivated. Don't get discouraged, man. And just stay prayed up. And I think that's probably the best I can tell anybody. That's all I've done. And that's all I'm gonna continue to do. The same things I just mentioned.
Yeah. And in 2017, I got to touch about this before I let you go. In 2017, you started a nonprofit called Safe House. And you teach kids how to do film production, digital media, financial literacy. Definitely want to talk about that. Entrepreneurship, job readiness, community police relationship, and also life skills. Now, first of all, of course, that's outstanding, but financial literacy
is a must.
Man, entrepreneurship.
They do not teach that stuff in schools.
And so, I always said when I was growing up, thinking you can own something was like a huge dream. My peoples didn't talk to me about owning anything. I mean, for me to see someone that owned a company, I thought this was something I could never do, and then I wasn't talked about saving. I wasn't talking about investing. I wasn't talked to about those things, at all. So getting the kids to understand, one of the things I talk about on here is name, image, and likeness. And the kids and how important it is for our community to take advantage of that, because the platform that you have and the door, once again, the doors that it can open up for you are just huge, and they're limitless, especially with the social media and stuff. And so talk about that financial literacy and that entrepreneurship and just that job readiness thing, man, because that's so important for our kids, man, and we can get that down pat.
Most definitely. I have a partner, co-founder of Safe House, Siobhan Dillard. She's amazing. She handles all those things, and to watch the kids, like with the summer job kids, Myron Barr Summer Youth Employment Program. We first introduced them to budget sheets, and they had no idea what a budget sheet was. And all they thought about was when they got their paycheck, what they were going to do with their money.
Yeah.
So we showed them about the budget sheets, and how important it is to follow a budget sheet. They were taught how to live not above their means. You can, for an example, we was trying to explain to them that if you have $500, let's live off that. Let's live off that 200. Say you only got 200. Let's live off that 200. Let's show what let's go with some things you can do with that 300. Let's do that. And once once you teach them how they can learn and to live off a certain amount, now you have room where you might want to do some investing, do some saving, hit the money markets. There's a lot of different things that kids don't know about that, even we didn't know about it. We didn't know about none of that stuff. I mean, I'm in a different era than you, man. All we knew about was how to get money and how to spend it. No one taught us about property, none of that kind of stuff. So it's just a lot of things we didn't know. And even before we get to that point, we had to show them how to conduct themselves on job interviews.
That's important. How to dress.
How to dress.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And I told him there's nothing about being as some young people say, some house nigga. I say, because if you had a business, would you want some young boy coming there with his pants slouched down? And we used to put them never picture. What I did was, I'm like, okay, this is your business.
Yeah.
What this is your business. One of your homeboys is gonna come in for an interview. This is your bread and butter. You gotta take care of your family. This is your business. So they come in there, they do everything, they play all the roles. And first thing dude is like, he's telling his homeboy, sit up, man. Straighten up, do this, do that. So I want them to see both sides of it, how the employer is looking at the people they're trying to hire. So we teach them all kinds of things, man, because a lot of the things people just aren't taught. And one of the key things we taught was how to take their skill sets and turn their skill sets into a business.
Correct.
How to get your LLC, how to attract clients, how to make yourself marketable, how to use social media to make yourself marketable, how to go to say in an area where someone is building a house. Here it is, you know how to do this flooring. Here it is. This guy is paying this dude $20,000 to fix his floor. Just and you can do a better job at 10,000, at 15,000. Get your foot in the door. Show them what you can do.
Yep.
You know, sometimes you got to underbid in order to start overbidding in order to get to where you want to be, just to get your foot in the door. Learn how to walk around and introduce yourself to the construction sites, the people. You know, become a contractor. You can take your LLC, your business, and you could be a subcontractor for a contractor.
Absolutely.
So teaching them how to take advantage of skill sets, whether it was music, film, carpentry, whatever it is they knew how to do. We was teaching them how to turn that into a business, because when we looked at everybody's feet, we like, look, all y'all got on tennis shoes that you paid $250 for.
Correct.
All right, let's not buy another $250 shoe. Let's go open up and start your LLC with that $250, and
Correct.
now you make plenty more $250s. So that's what it's all about. And I think when it comes from people they can relate to, people they can understand, people they can feel, I think they're more motivated to do it, opposed to sitting in some classroom where they're bored, not paying attention. We're up close, we're personal. And you know, it's just about just helping them get to where they need to be, because regardless of what they're doing in their life, at some point, their life is going to have to take a serious turn of being an adult.
Yep.
So we want to put it in their heads that you can be an adult early on.
Correct.
And get ahead of the game.
Correct. And save yourself.
Exactly. But I told them, because like in our summer camp, I'm gonna have to leave after this. In our summer camp, there was one kid that he used to always mess with all the time. I mean, just I took to him. I made him my guy. And all the other guys are like, why you take him up on your wings and not us? And I said, I'm gonna tell y'all something now. All of you, y'all better get to know this young man. One day, some of you are gonna be sitting in front of him for a job interview. So we teach them how to network. And I was trying
That's
to
important.
Exactly, but they didn't understand what that meant. I was trying to get them to understand the importance of, at your age group, how to get to know people positively, how to find out what people's interests are, how to just have conversations with people, because 3 years down the line, you might be like, oh man, I remember such and such. Oh man. I said, all you all stay on Instagram together.
Correct.
So, you know, later on down the line, some of the same people who you were respectful with doing your summer jobs, one of them might have something that can help you.
Yeah.
You might need a job. You might need something.
Reference.
Yeah, but they never understood it. They ain't know the word networking meant. So just small things like that is just about just changing the mentality, which a lot of the stuff we were teaching them, the kids told us, they said, man, they don't teach you this in school. And a lot of it is just basic life skills.
Yeah, it seems like in school they get teaching them to pass a test, man. And ain't nothing sometimes, you know, unfortunately don't give them a lot of, you know, life skills and things that we need inside our community just to be good human beings and just be productive, man. But look, Mitch, I'm gonna let you get out of here, man. I guess once again, take this time out to thank you. I appreciate you for what you've done for me, what you've done for the Washington, D.C. area, man, just throughout all these years and cultivating all these relationships with these kids inside these communities, whether you was a police officer, a coach, you know, just the brother around the block that gets kicked. And it's more people like you that's needed in order for the changes to happen that we need to make inside our community to be just better individuals and better people. And I just want to thank you, man. And I appreciate you so much for gracing my show with your appearance, man. I really do.
Thank you. Hey, Mike, thank you, man. Keep rocking, man. I'm proud of you, man. Just like I tell Rob, man, I'm proud of y'all guys, man. Just keep doing it. I just smile when I see you guys doing stuff, man, because it makes me feel good, man.
Hey, and we always talk about you, man, how important you was to us, man. So, you know, we always representing for you and keep rocking, man. So you have a blessed evening, Mitch. I'm sure we're gonna talk again soon, man. Thank everybody for joining me tonight. Be blessed. And like my man Mitch say, man, just keep rocking it. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me each and every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, man, outside the game. Thank you again, Mitch.
All right, later now.